Hey, what's the deal? It's your boy J Mike. This is week number 5. I'm actually 5 weeks out, but 4 weeks out due to the fact that I'll be taking a deload right before IPF Masters Worlds in Calgary. I just wanted to give you guys a breakdown of what happened with training this week. This was a very, very exciting week of training because things are starting to intensify a little bit. The numbers are getting higher. Bench is getting crazier. Deadlift is going up. So with this being the case, this is a very important time and also very critical to the training that I stayed true to the numbers. A lot of people, if you're out there, if you're coached by me, you know I believe in the 10 wave, 8 wave, 5 wave, 3, 2, and 1. But what happens a lot of times with the training and the way that I've programmed in the past, I myself wouldn't even follow it sometimes. You know, if I bust out a good 10 rep wave, so let's say for instance I did a PR 10 rep set, it was very hard for me not to go for a 1 rep max. But in this particular case, in this time, I've gone almost over a month without attempting a heavy single and just stayed true to the programming. This particular week, I had 2 PRs. The video is only going to show the set that I did Thursday. But that set that I did Thursday was 490 for 10. Previously, the most I've ever done for 10 reps is basically 475, if I'm not mistaken. And I believe I did 485 for 9. So this put me in a position to where my bench press right now is at an all-time high. The 490 that I did puts me somewhere around a 654 pound bench. If you go by some of the calculators they have out there, the bodybuilder.com one, and I have a formula that I use myself, and it's actually a little bit higher than that. I mean, based on the bodybuilding.com version, it's more like 651. 652. Typically what I do is I subtract about 10 pounds from that just to be realistic with it, because it's kind of hard to do a 1 rep max based on your 10 wave. But what I try to do is keep the numbers clustered in a way to where when I go, so let's say for instance I'm at roughly 650 some odd pounds for my 10 wave. So let's say for instance I miss, like I actually did this week. I actually took this bench press session this week, and you'll see what I did next week with this particular set, as well as my footage from Barbados. But let's say for instance I get to 490, and let's say so I miss at 495 or even 500. I'll start my 8 wave, and when I start my 8 wave, I'll work up until I can't go anymore with 8 reps. And I believe based on the numbers of where they're playing out at, that number would be somewhere around 650 some pounds. And I believe that number is 512 pounds for 5 reps would give me, or 8 reps would give me that same 650 type feel, right? But let's say, for instance, as you go down, these numbers start to change. Some of these numbers get a little more hard to repeat. So what happens is you have to be very careful with these numbers, and then you have to start seeing what's real and what's not. So pretty much how I'm going in this particular situation, we're just going to cut it off at let's say 10 reps for 490 pounds for 10 reps. That'll put me at 654 pounds. But let's say, for instance, I get up to 512 pounds at 8 reps. That puts me at right around 648 pounds. But then let's say we get to the 3 wave, I need to get to 590 pounds to stay somewhere up in that same little lump. And then we get to the 2 wave, I need to get to about 606 to stay right around 640 range. So realistically, I believe 606 for a double will be there in a couple of weeks. Like I said, I'm roughly have 4 actual training weeks, which will be for roughly 8 training sessions to get to my 2 wave. So that's actually why I actually skipped one of the numbers that I would have had to go through to get to the set that I did on Monday. But like I said, you guys will see next week. I have a lot of stuff going on right now. I have Barbados. I'm going up there, basically just doing ambassador work, you know, spreading the word of powerlifting, sharing my knowledge with the people in Barbados. They had me out last year. I'm going back again this year, and it was a blast last year. And hopefully a lot of the people that competed and got a chance to go to my workshops, they've improved. I said before, this year I'm going back to Barbados, but this time around I am bearing gifts from my sponsors. As most of you guys know, that I'm sponsored by Noble Vice Performance, which created my combo rack that I train out of. Also A7, as well as my newest sponsor, which is Lockjaw Collars. I pretty much asked A7, like, hey, do you mind giving me a couple of shirts that I can give out while I'm down there? And they were like, cool. Well, they sent me a large shipment of shirts to give to the winners and things of that nature. They're just an awesome company, and I'm glad to be a part of the A7 family. But some of the shirts, you have the Raw National bar grip shirt. This was a limited shirt that they gave out at Raw Nationals that I'll be able to give out as a prize when I head out to Barbados as well. Let's see what else I have here. I have Army Green joint. I don't know the actual name of this one, but it's the olive green. And we have the Got Wilkes model. And I have a bunch of different sizes, man. So depending on who wins, you know, I probably have your size if you're checking this out. And this is another Raw National shirt. But let's turn on the other side in terms of collars. Lockjaw sent me a crap load of collars to give out as well, including the new metal collars, which are my favorite collar, and I'll explain that in a little bit. But they gave me the new ones. These aren't even out for sale yet, but you know, they have like a nice little blue color that I like a lot. That's another blue. But we have some black Pro 2 collars that I'll be bringing out there for a lucky winner. Yeah, so these right here are a silver version of that particular metal collar. And the reason why I like these, typically I like my collar to have a little weight to them, or at least a pound, so that I can be super accurate in terms of how much I'm actually lifting. I'm very to the point, like if it's 0.6, I put 0.6. So with these are right around 5 ounces, so I'm able to add exactly what the weight is with these, but they're also small. But the diameter of them is almost perfect to the bar, so it makes it to where it's very hard for these to slip. They're very tight, very secure, very lightweight. So with travel and things of that nature, these are indeed a must. So I have these. Also have the Lockjaw Hex versions. I have a couple of these to give out while I'm there as well. So as of right now, that's just a couple of things in terms of what my trip is going on. Like just to sum up this particular week, we were able to work up to 490 pounds for 10 reps this week on bench, which is an all-time PR, as well as we worked up to 684 pounds on squat, which is actually getting cleaner. I'm adding roughly 10 to 12 pounds per session. So I'm feeling real good about squat. And like as we know, if I squat 700 pounds, you know, for the Masters division, you know, it's pretty much a lock, you know. So I just have to make sure I squat. If I hit 700, just look for a big total. And my deadlift is going very well right now. I actually worked up to 738 pounds on that off of a 1-inch deficit, which is still roughly 12 pounds, kilos under what I did in Belarus last year at IPF Worlds. But at that time, the most I had done in training was around 716. So I'm looking that if I need anywhere between 783 pounds or something like that to total 2100, I believe it should be there. So, excuse me. So I'm just going through the training process in hopes that it really doesn't have to come to that. But my training numbers just keep going up week by week. And to give you guys an idea of what I'm looking at in terms of my training numbers, if things keep progressing the way they are, I have roughly 4 training weeks left, right? So tomorrow I will be attempting a 700-pound squat. So that means the following week will be I'll probably go for 716. I'll probably skip the 711, which is what I did my last competition. And then from there, I would go to 722. From there, I'll go to 733. So before I leave for Calgary, I should have attempted at least 727 pounds at the least on squat. I believe I should have doubled or come close to doubling over 600 pounds and deadlifting roughly 783 to 800 pounds or 805. So I'm in a position right now, as long as the training goes well, I don't do anything crazy, I have a shot at going over 2100 pounds, as well as breaking a bunch of world records on bench press. I have an opportunity to put up the biggest wilks of all time in the IPF on bench. If I come in right around 303, 305 and bench around 633, I could put up 160 wilk score on bench. So I have a lot riding. This was a really drawn out video, but it was necessary. I hope you guys enjoyed it. At the end of this, you have my week's workout on the back end of it. If you have any questions or comments, just leave them in the comments. And later.
All right, I decided to lead this segment off with something that's important to some people. If you follow me, I get accused a lot of, not being drug free, but being drug tested. But this right here is once again proof that I passed my drug test once again. But leading into this workout, I just thought this was fun to share. Today's workout on this particular day was me starting off with bench. I typically start off with the bar, which I probably did, but just couldn't find the footage on this one. But I normally try to go between 10 to 20 reps to get into a nice little groove here, and that's what I'm doing here. And then I jump to 2 plates, which is 275 pounds. Typically do this for 10, unless something weird is going on. Sometimes I miscount sometimes, but that's typically what I'm aiming for here. This workout was going a little weird. Then when I get to 3 plates, I typically only do 2 reps. This is just to get a good feel of where I'm at going into the next set. Now, on this particular day, I went up to 490 pounds, which was a PR for 10. It's most I've ever done. And this actually equals out to around 654 pound bench for a 1 max rep. And I'm typically pretty close to this. The last time I was anywhere near this level, I had benched, I believe, 485 for 9, and that put me right at about 630 pounds. So I'm feeling really good about this, and this video is being recorded after I've done my workout for Monday. So trust me, I'm on point right now. Okay, this right here led into deadlifts. And like I said, typically I start off with the bar, or I just start off with a few reps with the 1 plate and just add a plate from going from top to bottom. Typically go overhand up to 405 or whatever the case may be. But now I'm working on my jump and rip. So now these 1 rep sets become very important for me to get the type of speed I need. That was 500 pounds, which moved pretty good. And that was 606. Now you can tell I had to make some awkward positioning calls to get that weight up. Right here is 738 pounds. And this is also off of a 1 inch deficit. So I loved how that moved. It's a little different now when you look at my deadlift trying to judge it. But right here, you're going to be able to see the jump and rip in full effect. How I'm actually catching the bar in order for me to get into position. And then to finish the weight out. So my grip game is good right now. Okay, here we go with squats. I don't do a lot of reps, but I squat more often than most people. Can't handle reps, but I can do frequency or volume or over a couple of days. I'm right here. Typically put my belt on, getting ready to hit. This is 275 pounds. I believe I do this for 1-2 reps maybe. Typically have a little bit issues with these calibrated collars, so I use my lockjaw collar sometimes on the end of it so that the weights don't shift on me. Right here, we're right at 3 plates, which is 375 pounds if I'm not mistaken. I typically could tell how the squat day is going to go, how I unrack the bar and how I unrack the weights or whatever. It feels good. I'm probably going to do pretty well. That moved pretty damn good. Okay, now this is 562 pounds, and this is one of the cleanest reps I've ever done for a pause rep. So I was really good with this. That was really good. Didn't lose any position or anything. And right here is 684 pounds. As you see, I had to add the collars on the side, stop the collars from shaking. But I'm pretty happy with this. This is the most I've done this prep. And this is setting me up for a pretty nasty total.